Good morning and welcome to my podcast. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host of How to Fight CPS. And of course, hang on to your children or keep your children or get your children back. It's a warm welcome. I'm a family man. I'm a father of six, been married for 32 years. And yes, I too was caught up in the whirlwind of child protection system. I call it the CPS, the Child Protection System. Every state will have a different acronym. It seems like in California, it's the Child Protection Services, Arizona's Department of Children's Services. So each state will have their acronym, but the one I'm talking about is a branch of social services that is dedicated to protect our children from neglect and abuse, and also to do family reunification. Now, that last part, family reunification, seems to be a stumbling block for CPS because they got to make their money. Or they make their money, they have to steal or traffic our children, alienate our children, which is all against the law. When you traffic, it's against the law. I don't care if it's a child or adult, it's wrong. When you alienate somebody, that's against the law. Spouses will try to do that in divorce proceedings to try to get their kids. So, with that being said, um, you got to be really careful of the CPS system. Um, I've been fighting for 15 years, and they're a bad agency. I know firsthand. I also know from many of you that are in this live podcast. Now, to interact with me, all you have to do is, well, there's several ways. One is to call in. I have a number here, 626-698-0990, that you can call in and be my guest um, on the show. And that number is active during my show hours, which are Monday through Sunday. And I'm on at 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time for an hour, except on Sunday. And then I'm on the evening at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And that is twice a day. That's 14 shows. So my phone number is available. If you call after that time, it just takes messages. The phone number again is 626-698-0990. That's my office number. And we'll take calls there. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. And who am I talking to?
Melissa Mason?
Say that again. I couldn't hear you. What?
Melissa Mason?
All right. Welcome, Melissa. And what part of the world are you from?
I'm in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Okay. Okay. So you're from Colorado. Well, a very warm welcome. Have you seen my show before? Have you been watching it?
Yes, I have. This is the. Yeah, I've been on a couple times.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to have you here, and I'm glad that you're talking about your case. I imagine you have a CPS case that involves your children, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Has the case just started, or you been going for some time, or what?
We're about a year in, and I actually just had a staff meeting over the phone this morning. Once again, I had a case in 2017 that was overturned by the Federal Court of Appeals. A huge part of that was our IAQA because we are Native American. They violated all of our IAQA charges during the trial case, which I was told that was the only second case to have ever gone to trial against DHS. Everything that they did from start to finish was illegal. We actually ended up doing a national blog with the Just Cause, and it was pretty big. I was told I hit the senator's office in Washington, D.C. Then they attempted to bribe me to hush. My mom died in my arms behind the case because we had fought for so long. And it was a federal court of appeals that actually ended up overturning it a year and a half later. I did everything that they asked me to do. Once again, with this case, they never came to my house. They never asked me anything. I had a 16-year-old daughter who, of course, rebels as any 16-year-old would do. She actually has a friend who was adopted by a CASA worker here in Colorado, and he coached my daughter on what to say in order for DHS to get involved. This placement where she was at, the CASA worker, Edward, was also the same person that slammed my daughter's head in a glass door repeatedly while she hovered over my two young boys, that got the black eye and a fat lip. And I pulled up because she called me frantically after, she had told the court, she told the judge, what I did was wrong, and I was just mad at my mom, and none of it was true. Well, they never even came to ask me anything about the allegations. They went to my job. They brought police officers to be deceitful. They detained me in a police vehicle unlawfully, lying to me, saying that I had a warrant while they broke the lock on my work. I worked at an auto detailing and repair shop, and they busted the lock and took my 13-year-old daughter. The cops threatened me not to show up to my babysitter, where they went and took my other two children. And the cops are not even allowed to get involved in a civil case, but they did, and they threatened to take me to jail. I explained to them that my children are Native American. They still haven't even contacted any of our tribes. They're completely violating all of our IIGWA all over again. I gave them the case number from the last case. They, again, have no care or regard. My youngest son's father went to the courts and filed custody for all children. They won't contact him. We have a court case coming up for him, and separate from the DNN case they have with us. I've had to fire multiple attorneys because they won't file any motions. I've completed everything under the sun, from the classes, the mental health and drug evaluations. I already have a new appeal number in this case, but they're like never ending. They just lie and lie and lie.
I'd like to know how this whole thing began, because you're claiming that they ignored the ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act in 1978, right? They did not attempt to contact your tribe, one of the 547 federal recognized tribes. They refused, CPS refused to contact them to see if you were registered or could be registered.
Correct.
And the sole purpose of that is so CPS is forced to put them in the tribal hands, who in turn will put them in a tribal family and get your kids back. They're not as corrupt as CPS is. But apparently the CPS county in Colorado Springs decided to ignore the ICWA, and you did an appeal and you got that overturned. So
correct.
How did it initially start, though? What were the allegations? Now, are you married to your husband? I mean, were you guys married, the child's father?
Yeah, we just got married.
Yeah. What, did you get married before you had the child?
No, we were not. He was actually incarcerated.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, and so you and him have a good relationship, correct?
Yes, we have a very good relationship.
Okay. And now you said something about your daughter was being protected while they were slamming. Who were they slamming against the glass window? Who was that was doing all that?
My 16-year-old daughter.
Was being slammed by who? Her boyfriend?
No, the CASA worker. As the caseworker, the intake caseworker watched.
They were watching all this unfold. Now, where was this at? Was this at the caseworker's office or at your home?
It was at the caseworker, at the placement where they were placed by DHS.
And now, initially, what brought them to investigate neglect or abuse? What was it, neglect or abuse?
So my 16-year-old daughter was rebelling, and she demanded that I put her into a school where a boy was at that she wasn't allowed to date. I have certain rules for my kids, and that was one of them. And so I refused to put her in a school, which normally I expect a 16-year-old to rebel. That's what 16-year-olds do. And like I said, she has friends with the CASA worker's adoptive daughter. Now that little girl had run away. Well, he's a little boy, but he claims his gender as a little girl. But anyways, that was my daughter's friend who had run away before and came to my house and told me all these horrific stories about their foster family and her dad, who is the CASA worker, who isn't her biological father, but he adopted her. And I had heard messages and heard the phone calls of him threatening her. I mean, he's just completely mentally unstable. He's a wreck, but nonetheless, that's where my daughter had called, talked to DHS after he called DHS and stated some false allegations that my daughter then stated in trial court was not true, which was like drug use, that we were homeless, which also is all false allegations. I provided at the trial courts my lease. My landlord was more than willing to go there. I provided, and that's my last 5 years of residential, like to show that we had a home the whole time. In that 5 years, it was only 2 houses, but I provided both of the leases. She did stay on record, which the judge told me that she felt like I coerced her. Mind you, they took my children without coming to my home, without contacting me, without asking me if I was doing drugs or if I had or ever. There was never any contact. They never gave me any notice of rights. They never reached out to me and told me anything. They showed up at my work with about 15 cops stating that I had a warrant, put me in the back of a police car, and busted the lock on my gate at work, and took my 13-year-old daughter with them while they held me in the back of the cop car. Then released me because, like I said, they lied. I didn't have a warrant. They released me and threatened me that if I showed up over to where they were going to go take my 2 younger boys, who were sleeping in bed because it was about 9:30, 10, that they would arrest me again for interfering with a police investigation.
Okay.
And I'm sure you know as well as I do, when it comes to civil cases, the cops don't even have legal grounds unless it's a life or limb, which is also the grounds for them to even intervene in a case and removing children. But I did, of course, I showed up over to where they were going to take my kids. And I explained to that intake worker and her manager that were both there that we are Native American. And I explained to them the last case that they violated all of our ICWA charges, or all of our ICWA rights, and overturned the entire case. That case also made case law. And so I tried to give them that information to reference it to them. I had 5 family members that were on the phone, ready and willing to take these children until they cleared that up.
Hold on 1 second, please. Hold on 1 second, please.
Go ahead.
Hello, who's this? Hello, who is this? Okay, John, I can only talk to one person at a time. Can you call back later? Okay, are you back with me now?
Yes.
Well, we had someone named John call in, then it hung up. So is John related to you in any way?
No, I did have an attorney named John that I fired.
Yeah, but this guy is anonymous. He called in, and I told him I can only talk 1 call at a time, and for him to call back later, and then he hung up.
Okay.
So I'm sorry. I tell people that only one time I need to take the phone number down. That might be part of the problem there. People are seeing that number up there. They want to call in. Here we go. I just started the show, so I really didn't get a chance to tell people how they interact with my podcast. Now, do you know what the name of your tribe is?
So we have Apache, Lakota Sioux, and Navajo.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I had just recently started digging into my father's side. Both of my parents have passed, like I explained before in the 2017 case. My mother died in my arms. The doctor had told us, because she was
Yeah.
in remission for breast cancer, but my mother was a mother to my children. And the doctor had literally told me it was the stress that had taken her out. They also lied. When my mother gave them all the IAQA information, they lied on record. This is all public record. I have all of the case notes. I have all of the everything from the very first time that they got involved all the way through the trial case, everything. The caseworkers even admitted to lying and destroying evidence that was favorable and my truth. This was all part of the appeals.
Well, why were
They
they?
had
I still don't understand why. Was it neglect or abuse they charged you with?
They didn't charge me with anything, but on the allegations it says drug use and
Okay, so that
homelessness.
would be neglect. That would not be
Okay.
abuse. So you were charged with neglect for drug use and being homeless. Okay. Now, how about the father? Where was he doing all this? Was he helping out or did he disappear?
He was incarcerated.
Oh, he was still incarcerated. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. So him being incarcerated doesn't look good because people look bad on people that are incarcerated. And I'm so sorry for you to go with that. I'm sorry for the loss of your mom. And so your daughter is acting like a typical teenager, and you're trying to put restraints on her. Now, what other children are involved besides your daughter?
So I have my 16-year-old daughter, Precious, who, by the way, has been a endangered missing child for 4 months in this case, and they failed to mention her at all.
What do you
She
mean in
left
danger missing?
the
Is she
foster
run
home.
away from home?
No, she left the foster home.
Well, she ran away from the foster home. Do you know where your daughter's at?
No, I have. She contacts my oldest daughter. She contacts my youngest daughter, who's still in foster care, and she said that she will not come back home until the kids have been placed back home. That she would rather be anywhere but in that foster home. Mind you, my two younger boys have already suffered from physical and sexual abuse. When they stated that to me, they have not yet. So they came and arrested me. Just trying to back up a little bit to the incident when my daughter realized that she made a mistake. She let them know that he coached her into what to saying. She called me frantically from her friend's house where they placed her with that CASA worker. And when I showed up, I can hear her screaming in the backyard. I asked the intake caseworker to speak with me. She slammed the door in my face. I went around back to where the caseworker was looking out the back sliding door while the CASA worker, Edward, was slamming my 16-year-old daughter's head repeatedly in the glass door because she was trying to leave with her brothers.
Mm.
And
Mm.
one of my son, both of my sons was 4 and 6 at the time, and one got a black eye and one got a fat lip. They were screaming and crying. She was hovering over them, trying to protect them, while the CASA worker and his grown son, who both reeked of alcohol, were attacking my 16-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
I ripped them off of my daughter. My daughter and the CASA worker's adopted daughter, my daughter's friend, and both of my boys ran for their life. I didn't even know where my children had gone. They ran, and I couldn't even find them when I went out to the front of the street after telling that.
Wow. Hmm.
really need him to put faith back in my kids and show them that he actually cares, and that he's going to ask them what happened. So it took a lot of phone calls and a lot of tracking down to find out where my kids had gone to. My cousin, with the faith and the hope and the promise of this detective promising me and the kids themselves that he would question them and get down to the bottom of it so that this could be handled correctly, he didn't. In fact, when we kept our promise to my cousin, because they had me in custody at this time, my cousin brought the kids safe and sound, standing on the promise that they promised that they would do what was right. Nothing. They handed the kids right back over to DHS, separated all of my children, and placed them in different foster homes. Now, this whole time, I've had 7 different family members ready and willing to take my kids, calling every single day. Every call was being ignored, letting them know we're Native American. Where are my kids? Where's my family members? My daughter, my oldest daughter, they denied because the kids ran away again, because they said everything that was going on in those foster homes, that there was no way that they could stay there. They kept running away, and they ran away, and they went to my oldest daughter, who is stable, grown, has a child of her own, and they run to her for safety because they threatened to put me back in jail if they came to me. So they're scared that their mom's going to get arrested again for trying to protect them. They've begged and pleaded with the judge in the trial, telling the truth of everything, begging to come home, and nothing. And so they run away to my daughter's house, where the cops pulled up over there, took my daughter. My daughter was like, I've been trying to get my siblings placed with me this entire time. What is going on? They denied her kinship just because they said that they think that she would allow me to have contact with my kids. There's not a no contact order. They have kept me from my kids since that very first incident. I have not seen or touched my children in 11 months. They canceled when my children told me on a virtual visit with Sarah Cross and her supervisor, both being mandate reporters. They reported that they were scared for their lives, that they were being abused, and the sexual abuse was even founded on one of the kids, within the department. And when they went to go speak to me about it, they disconnected my visit, and then they discontinued the next 5 visits. They did not allow me to see my kids. I just barely seen them virtually online again this Monday. I still have not physically touched or held my kids in almost a year. I have completed mental health evaluations. I have completed the drug and health evaluations with all of them. Mind you, they have my history, they have everything. I've done a hair follicle test. I've done my own urinalysis test, all out of pocket, because they refused to put in any of the referrals that were court ordered. They refused to follow up with any of my IAQA laws. They've never reached out to any of the tribes. They won't reach out to any of the Native American advocates. They, again this morning, said that they have no intentions on returning my kids home. And he has placed, so my husband is the father to my youngest, Giovanni, who he's already done a paternity test. They're trying to lie and say that that's what they're waiting on. The caseworker came and did the kinship study at our brothers and told him and myself in front of my brothers specifically, we're just going to do kinship directly home because they don't want to keep, she lied about everything. They told me if I signed ROAs that they would get my visits in person.
Okay. Can we stop here for a moment? I need to catch up because I haven't had a word in edgewise, and I'm trying to understand your case. I'm still very confused. How many total children do you have biologically?
6. 4 that are in
No, that's fine.
care.
That's fine. I need to know, of the 6, how many are in foster care? 4 of them?
4 of them. 16,
And where,
13, 7, and 4.
All right. And where are the other 2? Where are they at?
They're grown. They have their own places.
Okay, so they're over the age of 18.
Colorado Springs,
they're
Colorado.
over the age of 18, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, is it the same father for all 6 kids, or how many fathers are we talking about?
So for the children in foster care, my husband is the father of the youngest one.
What about the 3 other ones?
Their fathers are in prison, which they've signed over full custody to my husband.
So your husband, okay, Were you married more than once, or you've been married? I mean, a couple times, or?
No.
Okay, I'm confused. You have your youngest with your husband, who are married. Now, are these other men?
Yeah.
Are these other
He's
six?
the youngest, so those were before him.
Okay, so you're married with your youngest father, and he's the one that's involved with your relationship right now.
Yes.
Okay.
He's the one that.
Now, what about
that
the
is,
other 5 fathers? You said one of them is incarcerated, and he does not want anything to do with the child.
No, it's not that he doesn't want anything to do with the kids. They just both have seen what they're doing, and they have time. They have a time stretch. The 2 that are in prison, they have a time stretch. They've already signed over guardianship and custody to my husband.
All right. What about the other?
Those are
3?
my grown kids. They're fine.
No, not those. There are 2. They're okay. Or 3?
There's just
I'm so lost. Okay, because there's 6 children. You say that now 3 of them are grown up.
Only 4 of my children. Okay, let me explain it a little bit better. So only 4 of my children are in foster care. Those are my younger children. I am married to my youngest child's father. The other 2 fathers are in prison, and they have signed over full custody of my children to.
So the only man that you have right now in your life is the one you're married to.
Yeah.
And he is incarcerated also, right?
No, he's my husband. He's at home.
What is he doing
the one that,
to help you in all this matter? I mean, why were the CPS system, the people you call, I think you call it DC what again? What do you call them? DSH. Okay. Why are they involved? I mean, could you guys say no and not let them in your home or in your life?
That's what I'm saying. What happened is they never came to my home.
Okay, so how did they apprehend you or your children?
They placed me in the back of a cop car and lied and said that I had a warrant.
Well, wait a second. Before they placed you in the back of the cop car, did you ask the policeman what I'm charged with? Because they can't charge you. Okay, for violating a warrant. They said you violated a warrant. And what did the warrant say to you?
I had a warrant.
And what was the warrant about?
They had me sign a paper that said it was for trespassing. When I went into the courts, there was no charge.
Well, first of all, you never sign papers unless you know what you're signing. I have no idea what you signed. See,
it was for a court date. It
doesn't make a difference of a court date or something. You have to say right there on the spot, either arrest me, put me in jail, or I need to speak to my attorney. That is your constitutional right. Did you know that you have that right to speak to an attorney? And when you say you want to speak to an attorney, they have to let you go if they're not going to arrest you. Now,
they did let me go after they took my kid.
Well, where were the kids at the time they arrested you? Were they in the car also?
No, I was at work. My daughter.
So where were the kids? They were picked up at school?
No, my kid. Okay, so I was at work.
Okay.
My 16-year-old daughter told them where I worked at because the CASA worker that was coaching her had DHS come to his house. She told them where I worked. My daughter was inside the building doing her homework because she got dropped off. My 2 younger boys were at the babysitter's in bed sleeping.
Okay. So
they came to my work.
Okay.
I was locking up the office. My daughter was inside doing her schoolwork.
Okay.
They came to my work. I'm telling you, 15 cops pulled up to my job site. They said I had a warrant. They didn't give me, they not only aggressively arrested me and placed me in handcuffs, saying that I had a warrant for my arrest. And I don't know if you know how they handle people, but I didn't have an option to talk, plead, ask, nothing. They apprehended me because I didn't have nothing to lie about. Are you Melissa Maestas? Yes, I am. Turn around, you're under arrest, you have a warrant. While I'm asking these questions in the back of a cop car, they didn't even go to the front entrance building to my office. They went to the side gate where I was locking up. They see me locking up, and they busted the late gate. They broke my gate.
And what was their grounds they were trying to find? What was their grounds they're trying to find?
My daughter.
But why were they after your daughter? What did your daughter do wrong?
She didn't do anything wrong.
So,
DHS was there. They were assisting DHS. They
okay,
legally stepped in.
okay. What you should have said, I know it's you say, look, before we go much further, I need to speak to an attorney. You're not taking my child. You're not breaking in unless you have a warrant. I want to see the warrant. You have that right. See, your problem is you didn't know your constitutional. Okay.
I did tell them that.
And what did they do? They refused to.
They broke the gate. They broke the gate on the lock and still went and took my daughter.
So you went and hired an attorney.
I'm in handcuffs.
Did your attorney file a wrongful arrest complaint?
Nope.
Why not?
That's the same attorney that I fired. That's the same attorney that I had fired, John Hornbarker. In fact,
well, I don't need to know the name, but was he a court-appointed attorney?
Yep. Yes.
That was your mistake. You don't work with court-appointed attorneys. You don't even tell the court that you can't afford one. You just say, you don't even go there. You say, I need to speak to my attorney. They don't know if you have a real attorney. Meanwhile, you got to find a real attorney to talk to them, because your problem is you set yourself up for all this. And now it's a big mess. It's a big mess. And you're trying to fix it. And using a court-appointed attorney is a way. You did not know that, but they have clients 30 or more. And if it's a court-appointed attorney by the dependency court, the dependency court-appointed attorneys are so different than the criminal court-appointed attorneys. First of all, you're guilty in dependency court. In criminal court, you're not guilty until you're proven guilty. In dependency court, you're guilty until you're proven innocent. And you need a real bona fide attorney. It's like a surgeon working on a heart. You're not going to do the heart surgery yourself. You're not going to have a plumber open your chest. You're going to get a professional. And I realized at the time you did not know that. You need a dependency family attorney that has experience of fighting CPS. You got an agency that is very corrupt. The typical CPS case worker, and I'm talking about the child protection system, so I'm talking about all of it in the United States. There is two bad examples lately that have been happening. One is called the Pink Ladies, and these ladies were social workers with 25 years experience in Prescott, Arizona. They're with the Department of Children's Services, DCS. And they're in Prescott. And they thought it would be funny. They made pink T-shirts and stencil on the front, professional child kidnappers. And on the back, they put, where are your children? Do you know where your children are at? And so they paraded around Walmart and all the places. They got stopped. They got, fired. But they should have been more. They should have been prosecuted, because that was wrong. That was someone there in Prescott didn't know what they're doing. So they wiped out the whole Prescott Child Services CPS system there, left only one worker. They fired the director. But these ladies were paraded around. That's the mentality of the people you're dealing with. There's another social worker 2 weeks ago had a Facebook account from Chicago, Illinois, and she put on her Facebook an old ad from 1848 that said black children for sale. So I'm trying to tell you that you're dealing with imbeciles. They're not transparent. They lie, they cheat and stuff. The only way you're going to fight them is you need to get a bona fide heart surgeon. You need to get a dependency family law attorney. And I have one, by the way. His name is Vincent W Davis. He's a great attorney. I want to thank him for making this show possible. And he can be contacted at 888-888-6582. He has 35 years experience fighting CPS. He's a trial attorney. He's a fighter. He's done civil lawsuits against CPS both in state and federal court. So he's well renowned there. But if you call into 888-888-6582, write that number down and tell them that Bob Pace sent you, that when you talk to Mr. Davis, also tell them that Bob Pace sent you, and that you want a consultation with them for 30 minutes. He will only charge you $60 for 30 minutes. And he'll talk to you about how to navigate and how to fight CPS. And if you like him, he'll talk about his retainer and you can retain him. But he is a champion attorney. He knows the law. People fear him. That's what you need because you got a complete mess, a spaghetti mess of things. You have the ICWA not being fairly given to you. No effort, it sounds like, has been made by CPS to contact the tribe. I would like to see their letters corresponding to tribes. Have you contacted those tribes? Have you yourself asked to be registered or could be registered? They're going to need your Indian name of your relative that can do so. I have a great grandmother in the Rosebud Lakota Sioux Reservation. I'm a Lakota Sioux. I'm probably 1/4 Lakota Sioux. And my problem is that I don't have her Indian name. I have her white man's name because she married my great grandfather, who was a Viking from Bergen, Norway. And, you know, my grandfather is part Lakota Sioux, and so is my father. So um, I know what CPS does. They lie, they don't make any effort. But I was mistaken not getting an attorney, so I got an attorney, and I got Mr. Davis. I had to sell my home that I worked 40 years to get, but I got him, and I got my kids back, except all but one. I had three of my six children that were trafficking by CPS into foster care, and that's a horrible place there. But what is also hurting your case is your daughter's friend who's advocating her to call the CPS and say things are not true and stuff. And then you got an overzealous police force in Colorado Springs that overreacting, and then CPS is using them as puppets on a string. They have broken so many laws there, it's unbelievable. If they have a warrant, they need to tell you what the warrant was, and they need to show you a copy of the warrant. It's the law. And it doesn't make difference what city or state are you at there. You need to have a warrant. Now, if you have a warrant out for you, they can arrest you. But they got to make sure they got the right person identified. And they got to make sure, if you promised to appear and it didn't show up, they can issue a warrant. I don't know what this warrant was for, but um, that's the one way. But they need to arrest you. They need to say you're under arrest for uh, not following through on a warrant. At least they say that much. If they don't do that, then you're free to go. You should not be in their custody. They're overstepping their bounds because you don't know. And it's not your fault. I know you care about your kids, and you got so many of them. You got six kids that you've produced. And yes, there's different dads, but you seem to be a really loving mom that wants to do something. So with your case right now, where are you at? I mean, are you still in jail? Are you out of jail? Or has that all been dropped or what?
It's all been dropped. It was never, I'm not in
Okay.
jail.
Right.
The
Have you
warrant
have you
wasn't.
talked to a real life attorney that can do something that they wrongly, your civil rights have been violated and they can wrongly be prosecuted. Have you talked to a criminal attorney?
No, I have
Yeah.
not.
You need to talk to a criminal attorney about the falsifying the warrant and falsifying the thing there. It almost leads them up to a civil suit. Now, a civil suit will take a long time, and it's not very pleasant. It takes a lot of money to fight it. They get a lot of money if they win the case, but it's not a very pleasant thing. But you also need to go above the CPS social workers. You need to go to the director of CPS in Colorado Springs. If not, you need to go to the state and go to the state top person, the civil rights coordinator or the ombudsperson. You need to check at the state if they even have you registered with a case. If you give them your case number and they don't have you at the state, there is no child protection case. A lot of times, agencies forget to do that, forget to notify the state. If they want money, though, they have to notify the state. So, um, I guess you have another problem. You got to have your daughter to stop doing things that's hurting the relationship. Is she willing to stop that, or is she still going to be out after you?
No, she did. She went directly in after
Okay.
DHS got involved and told the judge and everybody in the case. She's the one that is now an endangered missing child for 4 months, because they didn't want to listen to her when she told the judge in tears, crying, that everything she said was a lie and that she wanted to come home and that she was just doing it to spite me. And
what about your two sons? What about your two sons? They're still in foster care?
My two sons and my 13-year-old. My 16-year-old is the one that's the endangered missing child.
So you have 3 kids that are in foster care, and 1 is on the run. And are you still using the court-appointed attorney, or are you thinking about getting a real one?
I fired him. I'm trying to get a new one, a real one. I fired him. They appointed me another one that I just told this morning.
It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time because they have a caseload of 30 more clients and they won't help you. They will not fight. So what you need to do is you need to you need to do a consultation with Mr. Davis. You have nothing to lose. I know it's a lot of money. $60 is a lot, but he'll talk to you for 30 minutes. He's a compassionate man. He will help you negotiate and what to do about your case. Your problem is you need to get a real attorney that has some bite in their case, and he's a fighter. But you got so issues going on. You got opening for a civil suit for the criminal prosecution of you that was wrong. Then you got the family law, the dependency court, where they're taking your 3 children. You need to get them returned. Have they ignored? See, they've ignored the ICWA. You need to get that reinstated. You need to request that. You need to contact the tribe, the Apache tribe, the Navajo tribe, or was it Comanche you said? No, Lakota Sioux.
Lakota Sioux, yeah.
Yeah, you need to contact. Now, the Lakota Sioux that I deal with is in Rosebud, South Dakota. Now, there's Lakota University, which I've approached and tried to do my research in there. But the Rosebud Lakota Sioux will talk to you. I don't know on the Apache who to talk to. The Navajo in New Mexico will talk to you too. So you need to pursue that. But the same token, you need to get an attorney and follow his advice. You need to also not talk to social workers. Say no or yes answers. Do not let them in your home. It's your castle. They have to have a warrant. So they can't inspect your home. And you don't need to talk to them or the police unless they have a warrant that says you can talk to them. But my best advice is to say yes, no answers and get that attorney going and follow his or her directions. And I have an attorney right here, Mr. Davis, and you can call him at 888-888-6582. Also, I have a ticket running at the bottom of the screen that you can write the website, and it's Candly, CALNDLY, and that's .com, and then you want to / law office of VWD / Bob Pace. And that little bit we'll get into his booking calendar. So all you need to do is spend 30 minutes with him and you'll learn so much from him. And he will help you. He cares, he's compassionate. He's a fighter. And if you got other financial means to hire him, I would. As I said, I sold my home to get him. And that took me 40 years to get. So I know the mess you're in, and it sounds like they really overstepped their bounds in Colorado Springs. I think Colorado Springs is the home of the Air Force Academy, and I don't think that was such a bad place. But you're the first person I talked to Colorado Springs. I can't believe they would use a thing like a false arrest. You see, what you would get them for, a lawsuit, is for a false arrest. It's against the law to bring someone in if there isn't a warrant or isn't a thing. That's called a false arrest. And they can be held liable, and it's millions of dollars. And that could be pursued because your case is over with them. You just have a CPS case that they're allegating you drugs and stuff. Now, have you gone to the drug treatment program? Have you had negative drug tests, either by hair follicles or blood or what?
All of them negative, and I
Right.
forward those all
What
over
you
to
need to
them.
do is you need to
And
make
when I went into
copies
I did
of
have,
all
go
that. You
ahead.
need to make copies of all that, and you need to make sure that they have those copies so that shows that you're there. Did you do any programs, parenting classes or programs?
Yes,
Okay,
I
and
have. I have a completed
yeah,
child
right. You need to
development or
show that
college.
to the judge. The judge needs to see all this stuff. Social workers won't show it to the judge. In fact, there's one case where a lady sent everything that she completed to the judge. And so when they had their day in court, the social worker said all the stuff that wasn't true. And the judge stopped her and said, "Ma'am, please stop and desist. Please return the child. I have all the drug papers, I have all the classes, and what you're saying is not true." And he ordered her out of the court. Now, not all judges are like that, but you need to take control. The way you do it is to hire an attorney. And so please speak to Mr. Davis for 30 minutes. You'll have nothing to lose there.
Okay.
You have nothing to lose there. As far as your children, you have to make sure that they don't say the things they're saying that's wrong. And as far as police, unless they arrest you, you don't have to talk to them. You don't have to be with them. You have to tell them, if I have a crime, arrest me. If you don't have a crime against me, then don't arrest me, but let me go. You have a lawsuit for illegally breaking and entering and damaging your property. You have them for all kinds of stuff. Your civil lawsuit, I'm surprised there's not a criminal. You need a criminal attorney, by the way, to file a lawsuit against them because this was criminal matter that the police took in their hands. You need to sue the Colorado Springs Police Department, a civil
Okay.
lawsuit, and that's a separate kind of attorney. And there are attorneys out there that will pursue the case for 30% of what they bring in. So, which to me, that's fine. If they want 30%. So anyway, please call Mr. Davis at 888-888-6582. And I want you to really try your best to get your kids back. I just really hate to see you in the scenario that you're in.
Okay.
Um,
I will call Mr. Davis now.
you are good. I'm glad you are. Just make sure you tell him that Bob Pace told you to call. And when you speak to Mr. Davis, tell him you talked to me and that you need to explain to him, what your case is about. You are, you have 6 children. 3 of them are off um, on their own, and you have 3 other ones, and you have different fathers, and you were wrongfully arrested on a warrant that didn't exist, and so forth. So I really feel for you, and I'm really sorry you have to go through all this. And I'm glad you called in. I'm glad you called in.
Thank you. I will
Yeah.
keep you updated.
Yeah.
I get updates as
You
well, and
can
I will
call
call
me
Mr. Davis
twice.
about this
I
now.
mean, I'm on twice a day. You're welcome to call back or text back or whatever you want to do. You're welcome to do that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for having me, and I will call Mr. Davis right now.
All right. Thank you so much, and have a good one.
Have a
Okay.
blessed one. Thank
All
you.
right. Okay. All right. All right. Well, that was, I believe, it was Melissa from Colorado Springs, Colorado, who was talking about a false arrest and all kinds of problems that she had, and it is hard. It is hard. Now, there was a John that called today. If you're listening, John, please call in to my phone number again. Let me put my phone number back up there. Okay. That's my phone number, 626-698-0990. So any listeners can call me in there. That'd be great. Now, I do take comments, and when you do a comment, please type your CPS question. This is about CPS. Also, please show your name, city, state, or country, and it be complete with your CPK so I don't have to play ping ball with you. Meaning, you should start at the very beginning. If there's more than one father, explain so. and more than one children, talk about repeated cases or things like that. You're in a terrible situation. So now, if you can't um, talk right now and you'd like to talk a later day as a guest, all you need to do is email my show producer. She is a very hardworking individual and she will help you get on one of my 14 shows. All you ask is for your Monday evening show, your Wednesday morning show, my Tuesday morning show, Tuesday evening. That's all you have to do. And she will give you the link to StreamYard, which is the application I use. We're broadcasting on YouTube and you found us on Facebook. So email Grace at vincentwdavis.com. That's Grace at vincentwdavis.com. So those are three ways: you phone calls, text messages. I start right away into a phone call so I get a chance to talk about the three ways to interact with the room. You're probably, wondering when I say country from people that text in because I have lots of people. Recently, I've had Sweden and from Europe. I've had Rwanda from East Africa. I've had Mozambique from East Africa down by South Africa, South Africa across Madagascar. I've had Australia and Canada, United Kingdom. I've had Ghana from South America, um, north of Brazil, east of Venezuela that have called in. I've had Mexico and I've had Mozambique, which I already mentioned from Africa. I've had Liberia from West Africa, Archie, who's called in several times there. So I have a lot of countries, as I say, interested, that have the similar problems that are happening with them. So um, let me go back here to my phone number. There we go. And um, we have about 8 minutes left of the show. And, uh, well, actually, we got about 2 minutes left of the show. I have four rules. And one of the rules I just covered was call in Mr. Davis uh, at his number. I've already talked about rule one. You got to have an attorney. Rule two is your paperwork. You should have a 6-inch binder, 3 rings, stuff it full of college notebook paper, get some subject tabs, and make up some different subjects. Put your court papers organized in there, your class completion papers, your program completion papers, your drug testing results, your psychiatrist results. All that should go in there. And one of the most important ones subject matter is incidents. You should have a section on incidents. And all you do is you list the date, the time, the location, and the people involved. And then you should describe what the incident was about. And then finally, the results, the outcome. If you don't know the outcome, you may have to leave it blank for a while. But use that notebook and use it thoroughly there and keep yourself organized because you'll need it a year from now or 2 years from now. Now, rule three, I did talk about briefly there, is you say no to social workers. You don't let them in your home. You don't let them take your children. If it gets pretty testy and you're outside, just tell them that you need to speak to an attorney before you go any further. That's a timeout mode, and that'll get you away from them. Just take their business card. If they don't have it, make sure you look on the ID for their number and name and number and so forth. The police are the same way with the badge number. So they should give you a business card. Most of them do, but that's the indication of trying to hide something. So I'm telling you that it's a really hard uh, thing you're going through. Now, rule four is make sure you research the internet all about your CPS organization where you live. That should be really knowledgeable. There's things that can help you. Things can pass laws and do everything else for that. So I'm telling you, is that it's very important that you research because the power of the internet is knowledge. Knowledge is power. It'll help you win your case. But the less you talk to a social worker, the better off you are. Also, watch out medical trafficking. That's where they'll pick you up when your child's sick. You bring them in and they want to say take your child away, or you want to give birth to a child, and the social worker wants your child right after your birth. They're getting so absurd lately because they'll test a parent be positive or something, and it can be worked around, but it's really tough. But anyway, I want to thank you all for listening, and coming to join my show today. Um, I am very happy you did, and I want to see you tonight at 7 o'clock. I want you to still keep fighting with your children. Don't give up. There is hope in the road. Jacqueline Dean Scott, it says check your inbox. I don't know if there's a message. Maybe she said there's a message that she gave me. Let's see what it is here. Messages. Uh, Voicemail. No, I don't have any recent voicemail media. No. If you did put something, I don't see it, Jacqueline. I don't know what city or state you are, but thank you for coming to the room. Um, so I don't see any messages there. So with that said, this is going to be Bob Pace signing out. God bless you all, and thank you very much for coming here. And I'll see you tonight. This is Bob Pace signing off.